He's becoming a star right before our eyes. It's next on Locked on Jazz. Bum 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 bum.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz. It's your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen, and thank you for making Locked on the #1 sports podcast network. On today's show, we will do Will's Wednesday, 2 different things about Keyonte postgame and pregame. Plus, I asked him why no one plays zone in the NBA. He had some interesting thoughts on that. If we get to it, that'll be time permitting. Isaiah Collier, Kyle Filipowski last night did exactly what they have to do to be successful NBA players. They were both terrific, and we will touch on that. We will try not to ignore Jusuf Nurkic's triple-double, but we are going to start with Keyonte George and the absolutely filthy performance that he put out last night. He just took it to another level on a breakout season. That's the best he's ever been. That's big-time star play. That was awesome. That will be on today's show here on Locked on Jazz. And today's show is brought to you in part by FanDuel. FanDuel, before tip-off, check FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30. To the everydayers, you're the greatest. Thank you so much. All right, I just went back and rewatched all 28 shots by Keyonte. And the array of things he did tells me that he has everything in his bag he needs. He scored in every different way. He read situations beautifully. Frankly, on his 100th win as a head coach, Will Hardy gave Keyonte a bunch of opportunities. This one's a pretty interesting game because in a lot of ways, Will Hardy and Keyonte George are kind of tied at the hip, whether they want to be or not. Will Hardy needs Keyonte George to develop so that we have somewhere to go next year when we're no longer worrying about a protected draft pick, and he can prove what a head coach he is, which I think he's proved multiple times, including last night in his 100th win. But they're tied together. Like, Will needs Keyonte to be good. Keyonte has had some rocky moments, and Will's coached him hard, including one of the timeouts last night. And Will did a bunch of things last night to really free Keyonte, but none of it matters. And Will said at postgame, this league is a players' league. The players make plays and make them look good. So Will put in a bunch of systems, did a bunch of things. I'll get through it last night. I'll get through what they were that helped Keyonte last night. But if Keyonte wasn't just purely filthy last night, none of them happened. And this was an Anthony Edwards-esque performance by Keyonte George. This was coming into his own in another level without Lauri Markkanen on the floor, without a secondary scorer with Bryce Sensabaugh out. There's no one else who's making plays, and yet guys did. But there really was almost no one else on the floor who was going to make plays. Minnesota knew it. Minnesota has Jaden McDaniels. Minnesota has Anthony Edwards. Minnesota has Jaden Clark. Minnesota has on-ball defenders everywhere. And they've got the best big man defender in the NBA for the last decade. And he torched him. And he torched him with a smarts and understanding of what to do when Rudy Gobert is on the floor and how Minnesota was defending and how to beat those defenders. I don't know the official numbers. I will tell you, I think he got very little off Jaden McDaniels, which is to his credit. Jaden McDaniels, 6'9", long, huge, very difficult, and Will Hardy, and he worked things to make sure that he didn't take shots against him. The final numbers, according to NBA.com, which I'm never sure I really love, are that he went 2 of 5 when guarded by Jaden McDaniels. I'm not sure I saw the 2. But I did see him go take advantage of every other little matchup he could along the way. And he was 3 of 5 against Ant, who's a pretty good defender. One of the things that Will did was they ran a pick and roll first. This is where Filipowski started playing some 4 last night. So that Julius Randle, so if McDaniel or Ant or whoever was on, Jaden Clark was on Keyonte, they ran a pick off Julius Randle and then ran him off Nurk. So the first pick gets the switch 1 through 4, gets Randle onto Keyonte. Then Keyonte comes off the pick and Gobert drops. And now Keyonte has room. The other thing they did was they started to double Keyonte whenever he got the ball. So then Isaiah Collier became the primary ball handler. Collier was brilliant. We'll talk about that in the second segment today. But then Keyonte started making off-ball plays. And really smart off-ball plays. 28 shots. Here's how he scored. He had a mid-range pull-up. He had a brilliant drive, left-hand scoop over Gobert at the rim. He had a pull-up three with Anthony Edwards guarding him off a Nurk pick for a pull-up three with Gobert and drop. He played off-ball and got a catch and shoot. Okay, his first 4 field goals are all dramatically different, right? A self-created pull-up mid-ranger, a pick-and-roll drive, left-hand finish at the rim against the best rim defender in the NBA the last decade or two, a pull-up three because he reads the drop, an off-ball screen. His 5th basket comes on a cut to the basket from the top and finishing over Gobert where Nurk's in the post and Rudy and Keyonte back at 5 different ways on his first 5 field goals. He then hits a transition corner three because he ran the floor 6 different ways in 6 field goals. His 7th field goal is the first time he does the same thing twice. He hits a mid-range pull-up over Gobert with incredible arch. He then gets an early offense drag string from Nurk because Gobert's going to play drop in transition and be way back. They've moved Clark onto Keyonte right now, and at this point, he is cooking. He makes 5 straight right now. But great recognition between him and Nurk. Early offense drag screen. They don't have anybody they can bring help. Gobert's going to stay at the rim, and he pulls for 3 and hits it. Then they run the double pick. I'm talking about a high archer over Gobert. I mean, really high off Gobert. Incredible dexterity, touch, play to be able to make that play at the rim. A give and go with Nurk for a layup. My favorite one of the night, Collier and Anderson were running a pick and roll in the middle of the lane. Collier gives it to Anderson and a weak side cut by Keyonte. And the reason that's my favorite one of the night is that is staying engaged when you're off the ball. That is reading the floor while you're off the ball. And that is creating an easy basket opportunity for yourself on a night where you're cooking. That, to me, is actually the most mature play he made all night. On a season where we talk about Keyonte's maturity, where his road numbers are better than his home numbers, where his rim finishing has changed, where everything about him has changed. That play, to me, actually represents that as much as anything. I'm sure he's exhausted at this point. The fatigue is real. And here he is, making a weak side cut off a play where he probably could have checked out. His next one is a drive swing through that's become his signature move of the year. He doesn't use that till his 13th basket of the night. 12th basket of the night. Then a catch and shoot from Collier because Will makes the adjustment that they're not letting Keyonte get going. So now Keyonte's playing off ball and Collier's cooking. And then a mid-range pull-up. A wide array of baskets he's made. The misses are just as fine, right? I just happen to give you the mix because if I give you all 28 shots, it's not that interesting. It's a lot of shots, but there's a step back three. There's an early offense pull-up. There's a hesitation drive at Gobert. There's another one. He gets Mike Conley on him. He bumps and backs him into the post, recognizing the difference. This is Keyonte thinking the game, understanding the game. He's always been said about him. Will Hardy's been on that podium talking about how Keyonte's a game watcher and a smart IQ player, and now we're seeing it come to fruition with his work with assistant coach Chris Jones, his commitment in the offseason, and last night was a star performance. I'm late to go to these things on star performances. I think there's a little thing in this league that there's enough points and rebounds to go every night. Everyone always has points and rebounds. If you're a ball handling guard in the NBA, you get points and rebounds by just existing. Not last night. Not last night. That was bona fide, big time, massive performance by Keyonte George. And Will Hardy deserves a lot of credit with it in the way he coupled the play calls, the work, and let Keyonte cook and gave him opportunities against one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. The final numbers, according to NBA.com, 2 of 5 against McDaniels, who guarded him most of the time. 3 of 5 on Ant, 2 of 4 on Clark, 2 of 4 on Randall, 4 of 6 over Gobert, 2 of 2 on Naz Reid. 0 of 1 on Mike Conley. I talked about that one play. I'm not sure I think that's exactly accurate that those 3 threes are on Anthony Edwards and 2 are on Jaden Clark, but I think they're on Gobert's drop and Nurkic setting a good pick and a good read. he was awesome. He wasn't the only one on a fun night for the Utah Jazz. And let's tip a hat to two guys who have been scuffling and love the way Isaiah Collier and Kyle Filipowski played. Next on Locked on Jazz. Today's show is brought to you by Intercap Lending. That's Steve Carter. He's our own personal loan officer. I had a nice little conversation with Steve this week, and here's some things he wanted to relay to you or email back and forth. So rates have come down since last month. So we're seeing more people reach out and start refinancing their homes that they bought in the past few years that are a little higher rate. Even had people reach out to do cash out loans to pay off their debts after holiday spending. One thing to note, even if it does not make sense to refinance today, they are helping people put together a clean path so they are ready to move quickly when the timing is right in this kind of tumultuous world. So a quick review can tell someone if savings they are now or what rate they need to hit to get going. If you want to get ahead of the game, you can give Steve a call on that at 385-800-8528, or you can email me at dlock09@gmail.com, and I will set you guys also. If you're doing construction, they continue to offer strong 2-time closed construction loans. If someone already owns their land can be used toward the down payment. And there's also an option to defer interest payments during construction, which can help cash flow while the home's being built. He handles all standard loans, including conventional, FHA, VA, and now licensed in 43 states. So he is all set to help you, whether you're in Utah or not. The reviews continue to come in. Sam Mason said Steve and his team are the best. Steve was extremely responsive and helpful every step of the way. I was kept informed of my loan status. Getting the mortgage loan has never been so painless. Thomas says Steve was great to work with. Ultimate professional, reliable advisor. Steve Carter's been with us for over 8 years. So email me at dlock09@gmail.com. That's dlock09@gmail.com so that I can get you the VIP treatment that you deserve with Steve Carter at Intercap Lending. That's dlock09@gmail.com. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel giving you the ultimate fun in the game and all taking place. Enjoy with FanDuel. I'm trying to figure out something is missing on my screen. I cannot figure out why. I will have to just go without it. Fridays at FanDuel. Every Friday night before the game tips off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing in the NBA Happy Hour. Open the FanDuel app during Happy Hour. Always bring something new. Boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. The timing is perfect right before the game, right before the weekend starts. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app. See what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30. A little basketball, a little action, a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network every day or program. Thanks so much to everybody who's jumped aboard. Here's what we got for you. One-on-one texting with me. I dropped a note for you after the game. Like, you had to love that, didn't you? Wasn't very insightful, but you did get a bunch of notes before the game on the game. Share you those one-on-one questions to me. I go through it about once or twice a day, trying to get back to you. Gave you a little breakdown what I thought the impact of the Steph Curry injury was and how it impacts the Jimmy Butler injury and how it impacts Steph Curry and the Jazz. All those things one-on-one. Leaf Tuline's putting out bonus episodes. Great stuff. Interacting with you. We also got the Discord channel for you. Plus, you get 15% off at the Locked On Team Shop. You also get the daily newsletter to you. That's all for $15 a month or $150 a year. Go to lockedonjazz.supercast.com. Lockedonjazz.supercast.com. Ad-free edition of Locked On Sports Today. Also access to the Discord channel, all as part of the Everydayer All Access Club. There's also just the regular Everydayer Club, which is ad-free, Locked On Sports Today ad-free, and the Discord channel. Glad to have you aboard for all those. Thank you very much. It's lockedonjazz.supercast.com. I want this group to be big and active and fun and like the hottest spot for Jazz fan interaction. That's the goal on all of it. All right, Isaiah Collier and Kyle Filipowski I thought were great last night. I'm super excited for them. I really thought they were struggling. And I've always said this, and you just have to be patient, and we've talked about this every time we do the kind of ranking at the end of 10, is that I just don't think guys get better year 1 to year 2 in the NBA when they play a lot in year 1. I mean, there are some exceptions to the rule, but just in general. And that's kind of where I felt on Kyle had some decent numbers this playing without Yusuf Nurkic. But my feeling all week on Kyle was that was too much asking. Ron Boone finally said in the broadcast, like, I don't really like seeing him play center. And last night he got to play some power forward. Julius Randle was a really good. He really handled the Julius Randle matchup, and that might be where he's at his best. When he can he's really strong and good lower body, and we can use that strength, but then also use his dexterity. His 4 assists last night were awesome. One of the late game assists he made was terrific, but he was just a presence last night. 11 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. It obviously helps when you go 2 of 3 from 3. It obviously helps he's hit 8 of his last 10, 9 of his last 11 free throws. And maybe you need to have those struggles that he had in Dallas, where I just didn't think he was able to show his skills. And his numbers were good in Chicago, but I just kind of still felt the same way. That the weaknesses were really glaring in some of those eyes, but not last night. And I think that was a really good game for Kyle. And I love the fact that he has this now in his back pocket, because you've got to have some success along the way as a young player in this league. It's so hard. And to have that night, like last night, I think he can come to practice with a little more pride. Kyle's a guy that, at least my observation, and I haven't talked to him about this, but my observation of Kyle is he beats up on himself a little bit and gets frustrated. And I think I don't know this at all. This is 100% guess, but I think he's hyper aware of like his role in the ecosystem and how he's playing. And I think he's going to be a momentum player. I think we'll see another really good outing from him against San Antonio in his next game. But there have just been plays like the play in Chicago where he tries to go take Vucevic and beat him, and just doing things that are just not going to be the way he's going to be a successful NBA player. And last night was the exact opposite. It was exactly how he's going to be a successful NBA player and a long-term 10-year NBA player. It was super to see. And then Isaiah Collier. And he's done this twice this year. I said this on Postcast. We went to commercial break, and his third quarter to me was just feckless. And more than that, his third quarter to me was him getting in the lane with this not really in transition, just kind of, and then not really going anywhere. And then suddenly the plays bogged down, and his lack of wanting to shoot. And it just felt like he did have 3 assists in that quarter, but in the 5 minutes he was on the floor, we were outscored by 6 points. We were outscored by 13 in the whole quarter. So, and I just thought the offense was getting bogged down because he would drive and go nowhere. And then he came out to open the fourth quarter went 5 for 5 in the fourth quarter and straight hard line drives. And Will already had said the other day in a presser, like, sometimes we make this too complicated. If you got an edge on a guy, just drive and beat him. And 4 assists, all of which were pretty terrific. Kick out to Keyonte, plays inside around the rim. He also had a steal and a block. He was incredibly active. He was dictating the game. This is Isaiah Collier at his finest. And he's getting a little bit better with his floater and some of those kind of things around the basket, figuring that stuff out where he is, but he's playing off 2 feet, getting in there, being under control, not getting caught in the air underneath the basket with no idea where the pass is going to go. And one of my favorite plays of all was Dante. He drives on Dante DiVincenzo, and DiVincenzo is backing off and kind of pulls the chair on him, knowing that Isaiah likes to play off contact. But Isaiah's on such good balance that he's not bothered by it, that he doesn't actually make a mistake and doesn't actually either travel or throw up an awkward shot. And instead, he just turns it into a really easy layup. Isaiah changed his game. Isaiah, this is where he is at his best. His fourth quarter last night is what you have to love about his game. And he opened it up. I mean, just first play right out of the shoot on the very, very, very play. He just blows by Mike Conley and cooks him to the rim. Like, oh, if you're going to have this guy in the game at 39 years old and this old, and frankly, this old, like let me know, because I'm just going at him. I'm just coming to get him. And then Filipowski hits Nurk on a beautiful pass on the next play. And then Bailey gets a running dunk on Collier's assist. The steal defensively, where he comes in off the Bailey gets the steal, pushes ahead, and then Collier runs the fast break perfectly, leaving it back for Bailey for that sick right-hand dunk, and the building's erupting. And it's Collier pushing. It's Collier making the play. Bailey made a great defensive play there, and that changed the game. And again, These kids are human. They're 20, 21, 22 years old. I think Flip's 22. I think Collier's 21. They need moments. They need moments to feel good about themselves. They need moments to live up to the expectations. Both those guys have massive expectations. Isaiah Collier was number 1 recruit in the country at one point in the time. Kyle Filipowski was the number 4 recruit in the country at some point. Kyle Filipowski was a Duke and split. These guys didn't come in this league to be, 12-minute a night off the bench players. They came with these huge expectations, and that's a burden. And it's hard to try to figure out how you're going to fit into this league while you're trying to achieve that. And they both did it last night. It was great. Those two guys, that fires me up about the night. Ace was super, Nurk's triple-double, but those two were really had nights that I think they can build off for the future. And, yesterday's show was about how Cody and Bryce had road trips. And they get moments to build off of. Well, now we got Collier and Flip having nights at home to build off of. This is what it's all about. Getting to watch these young guys make these plays, grow up before our eyes, and get better. All right, Will's Wednesday is next. Some interesting comments from Will Hardy on multiple different fronts, predominantly about Keyonte, some about last night and Ace Bailey. And then if I can, we'll get into the zone defense comments as well on Locked on Jazz. Today's edition of Locked on Jazz is brought to you by Quo. Quo is the company that every time we mention it, I wish we had it at Locked On when we first started, but it's a new year, new systems. This is a time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way. There is. Streamlining your communication is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. And that's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O, the smarter way to run your business communications. Q-U-O. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communication in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're working, creating more opportunities to connect with customers. I love how simple Quo makes everything. Everything sees the full conversation thread, which makes replies faster and more personal. It works right off your phone or your computer, even if you want to keep your existing number. And Quo's smart AI tools automatically log calls, summarize conversations, and highlight the next step so details never slip through the cracks. It's no surprise Quo is the number 1 business-rated phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo, Q-U-O, for free, plus 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Will's Wednesday. It's always a little bit of a risk for David to try to do this and see if he can get it right, but let's see if I can. We're going to turn on share tab audio, share window. We're going to start with Will Hardy postgame last night. Here is Will Hardy postgame last night. This is going to be about both Keyonte, and then he'll touch into Ace Bailey, and so we'll let it roll. Cool comments there, reiterating a lot of what we talked about, obviously. So I thought the Ace Bailey stuff was great because I haven't mentioned a lot of Ace Bailey today, so I'm glad we got that in there. But we see the flash, and I had Ace post game, which was great. We see a lot of the Ace stuff every day. All right, let's see if we can get part 2 of Will Hardy. This is pregame, and pregame Will Hardy, and he's talking about Keyonte and some of the growth and development that Keyonte's had working with his assistant, Chris Jones. Here's what he said.
All the way around. He deserves a lot of credit. I think Keyonte's making better choices. I also think that sometimes having a bunch of bad results teaches you about the choices that you're making. Like you're getting feedback in the game. And there is a technical part. Like I think Keyonte, from a technical standpoint, has finished way better, like harder. He's making more of the harder finishes. But ultimately, the thing that has been hammered to him a lot is the decisions at the rim. The part I liked about San Antonio was how many of those he got off of cuts. Keyonte has the ball in his hands a lot. He plays a bunch of pick and roll for us. But I do think that an effective way for him to apply pressure to the paint because of his athleticism and how much people are respecting him and sort of hugging up on him when he gets rid of it is to utilize some of that cutting.
So that was interesting pregame because that's the play I also talked about. Postgame is one of the most interesting plays of the night and the one I probably liked the most on Keyonte. His rim finishing is great. He's gone from, I think, 61 to 74%. It's actually getting better as the year goes on. And the rim finishing last night, left-hander over Gobert, right-hander over Gobert at the rim. He did not do a lot of his damage last night at the rim. It was a little bit of he had to play it a little bit outside but he chose the right times to go after Rudy last night. I don't know if I can pull off his final. Nope, I don't think I have that. His final numbers last night are great. They just don't have. I was wondering if they had his numbers by game. His accuracy at the rim right now was 61% last year. It's 72% this year. His mid-range shot has gone from 39 to 45%, and his long threes have jumped. That's maybe the biggest thing, 32 to 37%. There's, let's not hide that this is still a three-point shooting league. He had that. Remember, we talked about this a lot. He had that his rookie year where he was able to make the plays off the bounce. Last year, Keyonte, our official scorekeeper, actually didn't give him any. Only gave him one. Didn't give him any layups last night. Called him 5 of 8 from the mid-range in the paint on those floaters over Gobert because Rudy forced you so far out. 4 of 6 on the midi last night. Just an incredible night. Here's what Will Hardy said about why teams don't play zone. Thought this was interesting.
Yeah, I think I'm surprised. We haven't done it much lately, but I'm a big fan of zone. I think the reasons why it's not used, one, it takes time, right? Like for it to be effective, you have to practice it and put a lot of time into it. And during the season, practice time is limited, so that may play into it. I also think that our nature in general is to be a little bit weirder about the things that don't quite, that aren't as normal. Like, I think I said this to you guys a couple of years ago, man-to-man in our league, when it gets hit pretty hard, there's criticism, but if you go zone and that gets destroyed, it's because of the decision to play zone. It's not the execution of the zone, right? Like man-to-man, when it goes poorly, it's because you didn't execute man-to-man well. So I think some of it is the practice time. The other part is it just feels weird when it doesn't go well. I think we're all trained, coaches, players, to see the game from a man-to-man standpoint. I'm not saying those are good reasons not to do it. That's my best guess at why, but I know that the times that we've done zone, we've had to put a lot of time into it.
Interesting. And the league averages 5.5 possessions of zone, and it stayed the exact same here for an extended period of time. All right, that wraps us today. If you want to follow me on socials, it's DLock09. We'll have a little highlight packages out at some point today, probably from last night's game. If you want to catch those on Instagram, TikTok, or X. Tomorrow's show, Thursday edition, we will do our points gained. We'll talk a little bit more about that game last night. Get ready for Victor Webb and Yam and the Spurs. Fun night tickets are available for that at UtahJazz.com. And the Everydayer program is available for you. Love to have you aboard. Go to lockedonjazz.supercast.com. That's lockedonjazz.supercast.com. $15 a month to have one-on-one access at texting with me, email, newsletter after every episode into your inbox, ad-free edition, Locked On Sports Today, ad-free Discord channel, access to the merch store at 15% off as well. All available for you. Plus Leaf Tuline's bonus episodes on the draft and college basketball and what's coming up with his expertise. That's all at lockedonjazz.supercast.com, or join the Everydayer Club for $5 a month. You get ad-free, you get Locked On Sports Today, and you get the Discord channel. Both those available for you. Plus, you get 2 months off if you do a yearly subscription. Glad to have you aboard. Hopefully, you can join that. Right now, we send you the first ever national 24/7 NBA channel on YouTube, Locked On NBA. If you're on audio, check out Locked On NBA Game Night, every game, every night.